And I think that's one thing people don't talk about. Like, I've failed like thousands of times before success comes. So, and the failure can be in anything. But then at that time, just remembering that you are not a failure, it's that thing that you failed at, and you can always improve.
Hello and welcome to Storify India by Biopatrika. I'm Nandita Sharma, host for today's session with Tarun Walia, Senior Director, Data Science, Novo Nordisk. Welcome, Tarun.
Thank you so much, Nandita. It's a pleasure to be here.
Same. So, Tarun, I would like to know first about your journey from B.Tech, from Ambala College of Engineering to MBA from MIT. I think that's going to be a very interesting part.
Oh, wow. You straight away shot for the big question, huh? So, yeah, I mean, I come from a very small town in India, uh, Ambala. So I did my engineering there in Ambala College of Engineering, which is part of Kurukshetra University. And I think my batch back in 2003 was the second batch where we had engineering in biotechnology. So although my dad makes fun of me sometimes, he says, "You did your engineering in biotech. You're neither an engineer nor a doctor." So, but I can look at it the other way around. I know a little bit of both. So, I think it was a great decision. Although it was a small college, it gave us the right platform to learn a lot about biotechnology. And then thankfully, I got placed in a small consulting firm, BioExcel, which was in Gurgaon. And I moved to Gurgaon, spent a few years there, found really good mentors, and then over time moved to the US as well. Worked in Connecticut for a while with the same company. And then, although I had spent back in 2020 about 14 years in the industry, I always had this urge that I haven't done my master's yet, and I want to do it from the best place in the world. And but in our busy schedules, you just don't get the time to prepare for it. So COVID happened. There was like a good outcome of COVID that I just get my head to it, prepared for it, applied to MIT as one of the three or four places which I wanted to go. And thankfully, they chose me. And so I did my MBA from there, and I was a Sloan Fellow. And post that, I joined McKinsey, got that experience, and now I'm with Novo Nordisk, as you know, where I'm handling the data science strategy.
That's a very inspiring journey that you have. So, how did you discover your interest? Was there a defining moment or some experience that influenced you?
Um, I think the one of the moments I would say is when so as part of my consulting, niche consulting early career, I would meet a lot of these intellectual folks in the US, Europe, India, everywhere because I was in business development, and a lot of them had like really innovative thoughts at the inflection of analytics, science, and business, and I thought, fortunately, I'm working in all the three areas. So, how can I build a career there? And then I looked at if I want to be at the intersection of analytics and biotech, what's the best place in the world? And met a few folks from MIT, fortunately, who were my clients, and understood from them what what's the difference that education made, and what's the difference they perceived. So I interviewed a few people who graduated from there, and then made a decision that yes, absolutely, I have to apply and I have to get in. And I think that drive was there. I never doubted. I mean, I doubted to an extent that okay, it's hard because like hardly 8 to 10 people get in from India, and my background, I don't come from an IIT or an IIM, so I was like, will I be able to make it? So I doubted a little, but I also had that confidence that yes, I deserve to be there. So I think that made a big difference. So that's also a learning for like people who come from tier two or tier maybe latter part of tier one, tier two, tier three schools, that if you set your mind to something, then you can achieve it. So yeah.
Right. So building on the thing you told about the doubts you had, so what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced and how did you overcome those?
I think the biggest challenge was access for me when I was a student. I completed my engineering. I did from 2003 to 2007, and the biggest challenge was, I think the number one challenge was I couldn't even speak English properly. Like, I went to like a Hindi medium school for a long time, and even in Ambala, like it's not at that time at least, it was not so prevalent that everyone will talk in English. So when I entered the corporate world in Delhi, Gurgaon, and I would interact with these stakeholders in US, Europe, and Asia, I would be like, oh wow, I can't even speak properly. So that was a big challenge. Like I worked on it. Now you can't see it because I've worked on it. Um, but during those days, and that's again something I want to tell, like it's not that I had the communication skills when I graduated or when I was like in my childhood. I acquired this over the last few years. So if anyone struggles in communication, you can always practice and do it. So that was a big challenge for me.
That's hard to believe right now. So
Yeah,
great.
and you know they say like you can always make you always have strength, right? And you always have areas of improvement. I don't call them weaknesses. So I found that one of my area of improvement is communication. So I focused a lot on it, and in fact, I ended up giving two TEDx talks, and so I never thought I can make one of my areas of improvement as my strength. But if you practice enough, I think you can do it.
Definitely. So, Tarun, what does a typical day in your life looks like?
I mean, it depends on the day, um, but and depends on the job. But I would say I wake up quite early because Novo Nordisk is, of course, a Denmark company. So we start our meetings and discussions quite early, like sometimes 6 a.m., 7 a.m. So I wake up early, get on those calls. Um, and then till about afternoon, we are focused on getting like the main strategic stuff done because we have to collaborate with our stakeholders. And then in the afternoon is my own time where I get my things done from a work perspective. And evening, I try to spend time with my wife and two kids. And yeah, so pretty standard, I would say.
Yeah, that's some highlight of one typical day. So, what are some of the important lessons that you have learned in your life and how have they shaped your behavior?
I mean, one of the things I always used to tell myself is I need to have two P's with me, patience and persistence. Uh, because often we want results really quickly and really fast, which may happen sometimes. But if you keep that patience in yourself and continuously persevere, have that perspective of the long term, so that really helps. So even if you're not getting the results, then if you persevere, you will. So having that faith in yourself that even if it's hard right now, it will get better. And yeah. And the second thing I would say is having good mentors. So fortunately, I had good mentors who helped me be where I am. So there's a saying in MIT, or not just MIT, we have a saying that the reason I'm able to look farther is not because I'm out of the ordinary or not because I'm too smart. It's just because I'm standing on the shoulder of giants who've already achieved a lot. So just being humble about it, and knowing that you also need guidance, and having those mentors in your life is very important.
Right. Great. So, what are some of the proudest achievements and why are they important to you?
Oh, wow. I mean, I don't think I have any proudest achievements. I would just call them things I've been able to do, thankfully. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would say the private proudest achievement was the first time when I became a father, like, felt proud. Um, so rather than anything professional or uh, yeah, I mean, those are things, of course, like people do, like, um, but yeah, and then yeah, making your family proud when you like get in a good school, and I remember a joke. So basically, when I got into MIT Sloan, and my father actually was telling someone, or I think he posted on Facebook or something, and he said, my son got into MIT Sloan, and I think he there was a typo, or someone perceived there is a typo. They thought it's Solon, and so so they said something like, "Oh, your son is going to the mountains," and I'm like, "Why would I go to the mountains? Like, what happened? Solon is in the mountains, right? You're going there for studying." I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm going to Sloan, not Solon. Um, so yeah, I mean, sometimes you remember those funny anecdotes, but yeah, the proudest would be being a father.
Wow. So, next thing, what advice would you give to somebody who's navigating through life's challenges?
Uh, Hang in there. Um, I think the self-belief is a lot, trusting God's plan a lot of times, right? Because when sometimes we are down, we doubt, oh, why is this happening? And the one thing I always try and do is, even if and of course, like everyone goes through ups and downs, right? Like I've gone through numerous downs. Like um, I have I have an example I can share with you. When I was studying for IIMs, like back in the days, and it didn't work out for some or the other reason. And then trusting in God's plan that, okay, if you are putting in your best foot forward, then there is a plan for you. So, yeah, I mean, I remember when I was preparing for CAT back in like 2010, 2011s, and um, I would get like really high scores. Like 19, I think in 2010 or 11, I got 99.97 in CAT, and still I did not get IIM Ahmedabad or Calcutta or something because of like some random reasons. Um, in one of the interviews, I got late, which is like, I couldn't even imagine how that happened, because I was coming from the US, and I told them I'm late because I came just the same day for that interview. And then the interviewers in IIM Lucknow, I think, they just pulled my leg, and they're like, okay, so you're an American. Like, you don't want to study in India. I'm like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I just got late because of this reason. And the reason I'm here is because I want to study here. But they just continued to pull my leg. And then I thought, like, I'm doing my best. Still, if I'm not able to get in, um, maybe there is a reason for it. And then now I know the reason. Like, hindsight is 2020, because the drive I always kept and made my way to Sloan. So sometimes those failures can bog you down. You can think, oh, why is it happening to me? But my belief is, if you are doing your best and still something good is not coming out of it, then that's God's plan, because you may not be knowing his plan, and God will not come and tell you, hey, dude, this is my plan. So you just need to trust in those times. If the times are hard, just continue to do what you think is the right thing, and maybe a new path will come forward.
Well, great. Thank you. Thank you for that advice. So, Tarun, what are your hobbies and what do you want to do in your free time if you get any?
Oh, I'm a big sports enthusiast. So I play almost every sport. I watch almost every sport. Um, I mean, after this discussion, I'll go and watch the T20 World Cup match. Uh, I mean, I even in the I mean, when I was in India, I used to play every weekend cricket. Here also, I try and play every weekend. There are many leagues in Massachusetts. Um, when I was in college, I would play chess. I was the chess champion. I would play football, badminton. I represented my engineering school for badminton in Kurukshetra University. So yeah, I mean, my big hobby is being active and enjoying sports. Like it can be anything.
Great. So tell us something about what you look forward to in your life.
Uh, Again, I mean, that'll be a little personal. I think I look forward to spending time with my kids. I mean, they are little right now, so it's fun to spend time with them, and you can like forget your other things like the worries or other aspects of your life and just be yourself. So, and then like we are so uh, restricted with the like gadgets all the time these days, so it's good to just keep them away and be in a natural surrounding and be with your kids. So that's something I definitely look forward to. Other than that, I think from the work perspective, I work for Novo Nordisk, and one of the reasons I joined them is because of their mission of treating chronic diseases, and that that really like keeps me up at night, like that mission of helping patients by developing new drugs, and doing something good for so thankfully we are in a job where of course you work, but an outcome of your work is you're able to help patients lives, and that means a lot. So that really I look forward to making an impact in the next coming 10-15 years as well, or 20 years, whatever you call it.
Right. So my final question, given another chance, is there anything you would like to change? Why or why not?
You know what? This is a question I ask all my mentors, or not even just mentors. It's actually a great question because you can learn a lot from this question. So, whenever I meet someone like who's like maybe in their 50s, 60s, I would ask like, what would be your advice to your 20-year-old or a 30-year-old, right? Just to see how. And I think one of these actually happened. So, when I was at MIT, I did my teaching. I was a teaching assistant to Professor Harvey Lodish, who's actually the father of molecular biology, right? He was a co-founder of Genzyme as well. And he's been teaching at MIT for, I think, 54, 56 years now. So like a big, well-known person. And in his class, he invited a person named Paul Riley, who I think was a partner at Third Rock Ventures, I think, if I'm not wrong. Um, so if my memory serves correct. And then I asked him the same question, and I think the one or two advices that he shared were um, one was I think take risks always, and the second was never stop believing in yourself. So it again boils down to the same fact that when we are sometimes in down times, we stop believing in like, am I doing the right thing or am I on the right track? So because you are your best friend, your best friend is not your best friend. You should be your best friend. So um, how can you have that faith in the times of adversity? So the same question, if I apply to myself, um, the one thing I would say is, so I stress a lot. I used to stress a lot and still do when things are not going my way. And there have been like plenty of times when things have not gone my way. Like, um, so, like Thomas Edison said that before discovering how to make a bulb, he discovered 99 ways of how not to make a bulb, right? So, and I think that's one thing people don't talk about. Like, I've failed like thousands of times before success comes. So, and the failure can be in anything. But then at that time, just remembering that you are not a failure, it's that thing that you failed at, and you can always improve. So, because people just talk about the success, of course, when you're successful, people say, yeah, you've done these things, but they don't talk about when they failed. So it's important to talk about that because you'll not always succeed. That doesn't happen. Like India team, cricket team, never like they don't win all the World Cups, right? So just remembering that moment that, okay, if I fail this time, I don't have to stress about it a lot. Let's just take the next step. What's the next best course of action that I can take to make it better? So I think I would go back in time and because I've wasted a lot of time just stressing myself. Oh, why did this happen? This is wrong. And I put in my effort, but this didn't work out. So again, so trusting yourself in that moment and not stressing out on things. It's easy to say because when you are in that moment, it's hard. So but remembering is always helpful.
Right. Thank you so much, Tarun, for answering all my questions. It had been a great session, and I hope it will inspire many through our YouTube channel.
Sure. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Nandita. Thank you so much for having me on your channel.